Hello guys, this is Abhiram and welcome back to my channel. Today let us discuss about payment terms in SAP FI. Payment terms in SAP terminology is a conditions which is agreed with the business partner, be it a customer or a vendor, regarding the payments that are to be done or received. Payment terms describe the due date for the payment for the invoice along with the cash discount if any. So let us see how we can configure the payment terms and what are the various options in configuring and how this impacts the payments in SAP. Payment terms are configured in the transaction OBP8. So here let us go into new entries. So this is the screen where we configure the payment terms. So for our payment terms, I will give the name as AVP1 and let us assume that our payment terms, what we have agreed with our business partner, mentions that an invoice needs to be paid within 15 days and it is applicable for a cash discount of 10%. If not, the total due should be paid within 31 days, which has no cash discount. So, it is always recommended to give the sales text in such a way that upon a view, it says what exactly the payment terms is. So, in mine, as per our assumption, I will give it as 10% in 15 days and due in 31 days. So the account type says whether this is valid for the customer or vendor or both. So in my case, I will assume that this is applicable for both vendors and customers. So fixed day. So what is a baseline date? A baseline date is a date which is taken as the base from which the due date of the invoice is to be calculated by the system. So baseline, if you see the options here, it can be either a posting date or it can be the document date or it can be the entry date of the invoice. So what is this? So once we configure the baseline date as a posting date or document date or entry date, in fact, the baseline date can also be selected as no default, which means while entering or while creating the invoice document, the user needs to manually enter the baseline date. So for our case, I will assume that the posting date is the baseline date. So what if we are having a requirement wherein the baseline date is not a fixed date or any of these three dates which are mentioned by default, but if something else? So that is where we can use the baseline date calculation configuration. So fixed day. Fixed day allows us to use the baseline date as a fixed day of a particular month. For example, if I enter it as 1, that means irrespective of the date on which the baseline or on which the invoice is entered, the baseline date will be taken as first of that particular month in which the invoice is created. Similarly, if I enter 20, it will take 20th as that of that particular month as the baseline date. And additional months. So for example, using this fixed day, we can set a baseline date only as between the first and the last day of that particular month in which the invoice is created. But what if we want the baseline date to be a day or a date from some other month other than the date of or the month in which the invoice is created? In that case, I will give the month. For example, if I give it as 1, that means, for example, if an invoice is created today, that is August, so the fixed date is 20 and the additional month is 1. That means the baseline date for that particular invoice will be 20th of September, which is 1 month next. Similarly, if I give it as 2, that means the baseline date will be 20th of the second month from the day from the month of the entering of the invoice. So in my case, I'm not. Let us first take a case wherein I'll take a simple case. So let the fixed day and the additional months be null. So that means whatever the date we are entering or the posting date of the invoice, it will be considered as the baseline date. So here we are having an options for block key and payment method. So in case if the requirement asks for a dual verification principle or you want some workflow, then what we can do is whenever this payment term is used for a particular invoice and a block key is given here, so there are various block keys. We can use any of these block keys as per our requirement. For example, I will say it's locked for payment. So if I use the block key A in my payment terms, and this payment terms is used in creation of an invoice, once the invoice is saved, that invoice will be blocked for payment or logged for payment. As we have selected A, it is logged for payment. So the block key A applies on that particular invoice. And another employee or probably a supervisor of this person will again review this invoice and then edit it and then remove the block key. So that is how a dual principle or the dual verification principle can be applied by using this block key. This block key is used in such cases. So in my case, I am not using any block key. And payment method. If we want the system to be using only a specific payment method for this payment terms, then we can set this one. But in my case, I am not restricting this payment terms to any one particular payment method. So whenever I use this one, I can use the payment method based on what I have set in the vendor or the customer business partner or what I am entering at the time of creation of the invoice document. So next comes installment payments. So the payments to the vendor or the receiving payments from the customer can be either in a single attempt or in a single go, or there can be an installment payments. So for example, if I'm having a vendor invoice and I want to pay it in a 3 months of installment, in such cases, I need to select this installment payments. But however, in my case, in this example, we are not going to use installments. Let us start with something very basic. And in my further videos, we shall also see how we can use the installment payments and what additional configuration is required for those. Now, recurring entries supplement from the master. This option allows us to select from where should the payment terms be fetched for the recurring documents. For example, you have already posted a document and you are creating another document or a recurring document on this one, then we can select whether the payment terms should be fetched from here or it should be fetched from the document, the original document, or from where, for example, it can also fetch from the customer or the vendor master data. Whatever the payment terms have been entered in the business partner, that also can be fetched. So this setting allows us to do that. Now coming to the main settings, we are having percentage and number of days. So here we discussed that in 15 days, if the payment is made within 15 days, then a discount of 10% is applicable on the invoice amount. So we shall mention that a percentage of discount is 10 and the number of days is 15. So again here we are also having fixed day and additional amounts, additional months. So these options enable us to specify the date in a much detailed way. For example, if I mention here as 31, it is very much similar to what we discussed in the baseline date calculation section. So here if I mention it as 31, that means instead of 15, it will take as 31. So it says, this means that on the 31st of this particular month, if the payment is made within 31st of the particular month in which the invoice is created, then a discount of 10% is applicable. And for example, if I say it as 0% and I say it as 31st of second month. So beyond this one, if there is the payment which has been made within 31st of the next month, or I'll take it as 1, then there is no discount. So in this way, we can either mention the term date as a fixed date of a particular month or a floating date based on the baseline date. So if I'm entering anything under the fixed day, it is a fixed date of the particular calendar month. And if I'm entering anything under number of days, it is a floating date which is calculated based on the baseline date. So in my case, I'll take a simple example. It is 15 days, and if it is due, then I'll take 31. So automatically, SAP will populate the explanations based on the percentages and the number of days that we are entering. So it says, the invoice will get a 10% of cash discount if the payment is made within 15 days, whereas the total invoice is due within 31 days. So let me try to save this. So now we have created a payment term. This payment term needs to be entered in the business partner. For example, if you want to use it in a vendor, then under the FI vendor rule, under the company code data, we need to enter this payment terms. Similarly, for the customer, we need to enter it. Now let me go to the business partner. I'm having a business partner which is both a customer as well as a vendor. So here it is having roles FI customer and FI vendor. So I'll go to the FI vendor and I'm already in the company code section. So let me edit this and I will enter it. What is this one? It is ABP1. So I will enter the payment terms as ABP1. So what does a credit memo payment term says? If you are creating a credit memo on a vendor invoice, then that particular credit memo can pick the payment terms in various ways. The first way is if the invoice number or the original reference invoice number is mentioned in the invoice reference field of that particular credit memo, then the system automatically picks the payment terms which is entered in the original invoice document. Whereas if we want to use a different payment terms for that particular credit memo, then the invoice reference field needs to have a value V, alphabet V. Then the system allows that particular credit memo to pick a different payment terms. These payment terms can be either picked up from the credit memo payment term field here, or one can manually enter the payment term while creating the invoice document or the credit memo document. But if the invoice reference field is left blank, when it is not having the value of the invoice or the invoice number or the value V. In other cases where the invoice reference field in the credit memo creation screen is left blank, then even though a payment term is mentioned in the screen, it will not be considered by the system because the system is configured in such a way that the payment terms will be picked for the credit memo only if the invoice reference is having either the original invoice number or a field B to select any custom payment term. So now we have entered the payment terms as APP1, and let me save this. And let me go to the FI customer role. So here I'll enter again the same payment terms ABP1 and save it. So now let us enter a vendor invoice. So I will take today's date. Let the amount be 10,000. I'm not considering any taxes. Let me take zero tax. So now if we go to the payment tab, we can see that the payment terms has already been picked from the business partner master data. It says 15 days 10% and 31 days net. So let me give the payment method one. If you remember, while we are creating the payment terms, we did not mention any payment method. So now I'm manually entering the payment method while creating the invoice, and there is no payment block also. So payment one, I have entered one. One is configured for check. Save it. Now let us go to the vendor open items and see what due date has been picked by the system. So this is the document. If you see this, the due date is 3/9/2020. Now today's date is 8 and August. So 31 days is the net due. So we are having 03/09/2020 as the due date. So perfect. This due date has been calculated based on the baseline date, and in our case baseline date is the posting date. So let us see what is the posting date. We did not change anything, so the posting date will be 3/8/2020. Perfect. So now while we are making a payment to this particular vendor, the cash discount whatever we have entered in the payment terms will be considered by the system automatically. So let us check. So I will go to the payment terms in either by F-53, which is a manual payments. So let us go via manual payments. Let me enter my bank account. Okay, main bank account, amount. So ideally, while we are processing this manual payments, the person or the accountant would probably not be aware that how much amount is being due for payment. So I will enter some random amount here, which we can later on change based on the number of open items that we select while for the payment. So there are no bank charges. I'm entering this amount as test, and let us select the vendor. So this is the vendor. So now it has selected all the open items. Let me go back. Okay, let me select this again. Let me select all and deactivate everything. So let us go to our document, which is 190025. So I will activate only this one. So if you see here, the cash discount is already populated. So as per the payment terms, if the payment is made within 15 days, there's a cash discount of 10% that is applicable. So 10% has been calculated on this one. So an amount of 1000 cash discount has already been populated automatically. But what if the payment is being made out of this one? So let us go back and let us also try that case. So I'll take the document date as this one, or probably I will take it as 19th, and I'll take this as 19th, which is after 15 days. Fine. Let me select everything. Let us deactivate and activate only this one. So it is the same document number ending with 025. And if we see this, now there is no discount, because as per the payment terms, if the payment is being made after 15 days, then there is no discount applicable. So this is in the case of we are doing a manual outgoing payments via F-53. But same is also applicable if we do an automatic payment program via F110. So let me go here. Let me create some parameters. Payment method we have taken as 1. So based on the next posting date. So next posting date I will take it as 38. Okay, and the vendor is this one. So instead of taking all the documents, I will take only one document. It is 25. Save. So let us run the proposal. So let us see here. This is the line item. The amount is 10,000. And if we double click this one, we can say that the base amount is 10,000. The cash discount of 10% has been picked, and the cash discount amount is 1,000. So this cash discount is calculated on the cash discount base, which is the invoice amount 10,000. Save it. Go back, and now we have received some cash discount. So while we are making a payment to a vendor wherein there is a cash discount received, then this cash discount received should be posted to a cash discount received account. So for that, we need a GL account configured. We need a P&L account. So we'll take it as cash discount received. I have already created this one. So I'm just showing you what should be the configurations for this one. So I have created an account P054 for the cash discount received. So the currency is INR, and I have selected the field status group as revenue accounts. So this this account needs to be entered in the SPRO configurations, so that whenever there is a payment with cash discount involved or the cash discount received is involved, then that amount is automatically posted to this one. So that is done in transaction OBXU. So in my chart of accounts, if I see for the transaction key SKE, or else let us go back and let us see what all we are having. Fine. So for the transaction SKE, which is cash discount received, this account has already been configured and the posting keys are entered and saved it. So these are the configurations. First, we have created the payment terms and we need to create an account, a GL account for the cash discount received, and similarly we also need to create for cash discount given. So let us go back to F110 and let us run the payment. So the payment run is successful. So if you see here, the vendor has been credited, the vendor has been debited with 10,000 and this account of P054, which is the cash discount received, is credited with 1,000. So this account is what we have now configured in OBXU under the transaction key SKE. So this is how the payments will be considered for the payment cash discount based on the due date and based on the payment terms that has been configured for that particular invoice document. So this is a classic case. This is the basic example of a payment term. Now let us go into some details. Let us try to create few payment terms by using few more fields. So we did not explore this concept of day limit. So in this new payment term, let us try to also use that field. So I'm creating a new payment term. So let us give the name as AVP2. And in this case, I will give as 1 month, 10%. Or else before we explore the day limit, let us explore another complex case or a bit more complex case wherein we are having 3 terms. So SAP at max allows only 3 terms for the payment terms. So I will take it as 10% in 15 days and 5% in 25 days and due in 31 days. So again, I'm not using any fixed day or the additional months, or else we can also do that. Let us use the fixed day as first of the month. And I'm not using any block key or the payment method. Again, I'm using the baseline date as the posting date. Remember that even though we are setting the default value for the baseline date, it is just populated in the FB60 or any other invoice creation screen, but a user can always change the baseline date manually. So percentage, we are taking it as 10% in 15 days and 5% for 25 days and the net in 31. Save it. Now again, let us create an vendor invoice. Okay, AVP2, but in the business partner it is as AVP1. No worries, but let us manually enter it. As we have already seen for vendor, now let us create a customer invoice with this one. So the document date, I will take it as 03082020. Sorry, P70. Let me choose the customer. Invoice date to 10,000. Not considering any tax. Or else let us also consider tax and let us see how the cash discount amount changes based on the tax amount. So GL account, I'll do one thing. I will try to enter the customer invoice by F-22 document date. $10,000. Calculate tax. Tax code, I'm taking it as 10%. No payment block. Payment method is 1. So if you see, this is the default payment terms which I have entered in the business partner, but we need to change this one. So when we changed, it is already automatically updated. 15 days 10%, 25 days 5%, and the net is in 31 days. Posting key 50, and let me take the amount as P017, which is my revenue account. Cost object, I will enter the profit center account and save it. So we have posted a customer invoice. So let us display the customer invoice. So if we display that the customer line item is having 10,000 and the sales is having the amount after deduction of the output tax. So the output tax is entered as 10%. So 10% of 9090.91 is 909.09. Now there are two ways in which we can make the system to calculate the cash discount. It can either take the base value or the base amount for cash discount as the net amount of the invoice or the gross amount of the invoice. So what is the net amount of the invoice? Net amount of the invoice is the amount excluding the cash, excluding the taxes. Whereas gross amount is the amount of the invoice including the taxes. So if I take for this particular invoice, if I take the cash discount base as the net amount, then output tax line item will be ignored and this amount of 9090.91 will be considered as the base amount for the calculation of the cash discount. Whereas if I take it as gross amount, then this 10,000 will be considered as the base for calculation and a cash discount percentage will be multiplied with this amount. So where can we configure this one? This one needs to be configured in the global parameters of the company code. So if we go to SPRO, financial accounting, global parameters, enter the global parameters. So let me go to my company code. So here if you see, discount base is net value. So now this is enabled. So that means, as we discussed, this is the net amount of the invoice excluding the taxes. So if we make the payment for this one and within a payment due date wherein cash discount is applicable, then the cash discount should take this amount as the cash discount base. So let us try. I am not changing anything here. I will make it as a net value. So I will go to F-28. So I will take this as 03, or else let us try. So in our payment terms definition, we have defined that the baseline date is 1st of this month. So let us verify if this has been picked successfully or not. So I will go to FBL51. So let me select my customer, execute it. So if we see the line item here, so this is the document. So AVP2. So the baseline date has been picked as 1st of August. So this is what we have described in our payment terms. And now the cash discount should be calculated based on the baseline date. So with this one, if the payment is made on 16th, then there is a 5% of cash discount. And if it is made after 25th, that is from 26th, then if the payment is made before 15th, before 16th, then a cash discount of 10% should be applicable, and before 26th, 5%, and after that, there is no cash discount. In normal terms, if the payment terms is not having the fixed day as 1, then the baseline date should be picked based on whatever value that we have entered here. It is posting date or a document date or entry date or any other date that has been manually entered at the time of creation. and the cash discount and the due dates will be calculated based on that. So let me go to the payments, post incoming payments. So let us take it as 16th. So again, I am taking some random amount. So let me select my customer. So let me deselect everything. So this is my document, which is having an invoice amount as 10,000 and cash discount is 909. So it says 10%. The cash discount of 10% has been applied because the baseline date is 1, and if it is 15 days from this one, so we have made the payment as on 16th. So 01 plus 15. So till 16th, the discount of 10% should be applicable on this one. So it has taken as 10%. But if we see here in our company code global settings, the base for the cash discount is set as net amount. So 10,000 minus the minus the tax amount, the output tax amount is 909.09. So if we go to the document again, so if we see this is the net amount 9090.91. So 10% of cash discount is applied on this net amount of the invoice and 909.09 amount is calculated by the system. So again, if I go back and if I make the payment date as 17th, if you see here now a cash discount of only 5% has been applied because now this is falling on the 17th day since the baseline date. So as per the payment terms, if it is beyond 15 days, then a cash discount of 5% will be applicable. Similarly, if I enter the date as 26th or 27th of August, then there will be no cash discount picked based on the payment terms. So again here if you see, the cash discount is calculated based on the net amount of the invoice. So now we saw how we need to define the terms with the percentages or the floating dates or with the fixed dates, as well as we saw how the baseline date can be defined by using a floating date with a posting date or the document date or the entry date, or how we can define the baseline date with a fixed date. So now let us create a new payment terms by using the date limit. So let me go to new entries. So I will create it as AVP3. So what is a day limit? A day limit, we can split the payment terms into various versions. So each version we can define based on the date on which the invoice is created. For example, if I give the day limit as 15th or 10th or any date. So if the invoice is now posted before the 10th of a particular month, then whatever we are defining here in this payment terms will be considered. Similarly, we need to create another payment term with the same payment terms code, but now the day limit will be a date next to this one. For example, I will define it as 20. So if an invoice is created between 10th and 20th of that particular month and the business partner or the invoice is having the payment terms as AVP3, then we are having the system will consider whatever the details that we're entering in this particular payment terms version. Similarly, we can create another payment terms which is 31st. So we need to ensure that while we are using versions or while we are using the day limits in the payment terms, all the payment terms or whatever we are creating for this particular code should include all the dates of a particular month. That means if I'm creating one version with 15, this is applicable for all the invoices posted before 15th. Now, if I do not create a second payment term with the day limit as 31st, then the system will give an error if we are trying to post an invoice that has been entered on or after 15th. So let us try. So I will take this as 15 and my sales days is 10%, and 5%. So I will take fixed day, or I'm not taking any baseline date as a fixed date. I'm taking it as posting date. And now, so let us assume that we're having 10% if the payment is made on 31st of this particular month, whereas it is 5% if the payment is made within 15th of the next month, and the total is due before 31st of the next month. So this is our payment terms. So here if we say before the end of month, it is 10%. Before 15th of next month, it is 5%. Before the end of next month, total amount is due. So this is applicable only for the invoices that are created before 15th of that particular month. So let me try to change the sales text to much more meaningful. So I'll take it as 10% before 31st, 5% before 15th, net on 31st. Save it. So now I am deliberately not creating another payment term version with the day limit as 31, but I will go and post an invoice and let me see what error the system will throw. So I'll go back to this one. I'll post a vendor invoice. Invoice date is 03082020. I'm posting it on today's date. So this is falling under the 1st to 15th of this particular month. So this is AVP3 15. Test 1. I'll take it as 10,000. Now, okay. So let me go to payment, and here let me change the payment terms, because in the business partner we did not update with this latest one. So I'm taking it as AVP3. So it says 28 days. It is saying 28 days because today is 3rd, and we had mentioned that if the payment is made before the end of the current month, then a 10% discount is applicable. So end of current month 28 plus 3. Similarly, if it is within 43 days, that means 15th of next month, then 5%, and end of next month, which is 58 days, the total amount is due. So if we see here, the due date is automatically picked as 30/09/2020. So I will take the payment terms as 1 and save it. So this invoice has been created successfully. We did not encounter any issues. But what if we are creating an invoice on 16th of this month? So let me change the posting date to 16th of this month. It's fine if it is in future. Let me take this amount. Fine. So let me go to the payment tab and let me change the payment terms. So here if you see, there is an error message. For the payment terms AVP3, the day limit 16 is not defined. Why it is given as 16? Because this is the 16th day of the month. If I give it as 31st, the error message says the AVP3 for the day limit 31 is not defined. So as we discussed earlier, if we are using day limit while creating the payment terms, one needs to always ensure that all the versions are together, including all the days of that particular month. So let me go ahead and let me create a new payment term. I'll just copy the same payment term. Okay, there is some web term, unexpected. So let me create a new one, AVP3, but now I will give the day limit as 31st. I'm using the same percentages. So 10%. But here now, if I choose the same fixed day for these terms, then it might not be so meaningful, because in the earlier version, the invoice is created before 15th of that particular month. So the first term will be, or the first due, the term date is meaningful if it is end of that current month. But now in this one, there is a chance that the invoice can be created on 31st, which is the last date of that particular month. So if I again choose this as 31st of this month, then it might not be meaningful, because the company might I mean, even the company will not accept any such payment terms with the business partner, because the company will lose a cash discount on that very date of the creating of the payment invoice. So let me change this a bit. So if it is created on 15th of the next month, I'll give a 10% discount. I'll give a 5% discount if it is created on 31st of the next month and the total is due on 15th of the second month from the date of creation. So 10% on 15th, 5% on 31st, and this is 15th of the second month. Save it. Now let me go back and let me try to create this on 16th. So now the error message is gone. If we see this, it says within 30 days 10% discount, within 45 days it is 5%, and within 60 days then it is due. So the invoice is due on 15th of October 2020, which is 1.5 months from the date of creation, which is as per our payment terms. So we are mentioning that after 1.5 months, that means the 15th of the second month is the total due date of this invoice. So let us save this. So let me just go to F-53 and let us try to see how the cash discount is being perceived for this one. I'm entering some random amount and I'm taking this vendor. So let me deactivate all the items. So these are the two invoices that we have posted. This is 27th and 28th. So 27, it is still having 28 days for the due. So it has entered a total of 10% on the invoice amount, which is 1000. So it has already also included this the other invoice, even though it is having much more, because we did not have any selections. So if we go back and change the payment terms, or change the posting date, so let me take this somewhere as 28th of this month. So let us see what is the cash discount that has been picked up by the system. So these are our documents. So if you see, even after entering 28, this is under -3, so even 10% is calculated. So I need to enter a date beyond that one, so I will enter it as 0109. I will enter it as 02. So if we see here, for the first invoice which we have entered, it is taking 5% as the cash discount, because as per the payment terms, if the invoice is created before 15th, then till the end of that month it is applicable for 10% discount, and if it is paid within 15th of the next month, then it is applicable for 5% of the discount. So as per this posting date, which is 3/8, for the payment date which we have entered, which is 2nd of September, it falls under 15th of the next month. So a cash discount of 5% is selected. But if we see the other invoice, we are having the invoice date as 16th. So this is falling between 16th to 31st of the month. For this payment terms version, we have defined that if the payment is made within 15th of the next month, then a discount of 10% is applicable. And if the payment is made beyond 15th till 31st of that next month, then 5% should be applicable, after which there is no discount. So let us go back and let us try to change the posting date to something like 16/09/2020, just to see how the payment or the cash discounts will be picked up. So if we see here, for the first document, as it is falling beyond the dates, there is no payment, there is no cash discount that has been picked up. But for the second document, if we see, 5% cash discount has been picked up, because as per the payment terms, the payment is being made between 15th of the next month, so a 5% cash discount should be applicable. I mean, beyond 15th of the next month, so 5% should be applicable. Now, if I change the payment date to something as in October, like 01102020, then for none of the documents, the cash discount should be applicable because all these are falling under the due dates, the final due dates. So if you see, there are no cash discounts. So already this first on this particular date of 1/10/2020, this first invoice is due by one date, and whereas the second invoice is still not due, but there is no cash discount if the payment is made in this duration. So this is how we can define payment term versions by using day limit in the payment term configurations. So let me use this one and let me try to post a customer invoice, and let us see what other configurations for the cash discount given account needs to be configured. So I will post FP70, or I will go via F-28, F-22. This is my customer, no tax. I will credit my sales account or the revenue account. I'm entering the profit center, and let me go to the previous one. Here I will change the payment terms to AVP3. So it is 28th, when the end of the month it is 10%, 15th of next month is 5%. Save it. Okay. The invoice is now saved. So let me display it. So it has taken AVP3 as the payment terms, and what is the due date for this one? Let us check in the customer masters, customer open items. So this is the document. If you see, the net due date is 30/9/2020. Fine. So now let me try to make an incoming payment. I will go to F-28. Let me take today's date. So as per today's date, I should get a full discount, which is 10%. Okay, I will deactivate all the items. I will select only the last item. So this is the invoice, customer invoice that we have entered now, and the cash discount of 10% is applied. But we have entered only amount as 10. So what I will do, I will go to simulate. The remaining amount that needs to be paid is 9,000, the total amount. So I will change this to 9,000. Let me go back to this one. Fine. Process open items. So if we see now, the not assigned amount is 0 and there is no difference postings. So let me try to save this one. So here we are getting an error message. So earlier we discussed that while we are making a vendor invoice payment, which is having a cash discount received, then we need to enter the cash discount received GL account in the configurations. Similarly for the customers also, we need to enter the cash discount given account. This is an expense account. So let me go and create a new GL account. So this will be a non-expense, non-operating expense account. I will take under profit and loss statement accounts. So this is cash discount given. Okay, I will take this short key as this one. field status group. It is an expense account. I think I should have somewhere as cost accounts for discounts, but let me check. Okay, fine. I'm taking it as other cost accounts, or else I'll just take a normal one. I'll just take cost account and save it. So this account needs to be entered in the SPRO configurations. In OBXU, where the transaction key is SKT. So let me go via this error. So I'm going directly via here in OBXI AVIN, and it has taken this transaction key SKT. I'll give the posting key. Okay, what is the account that we have created now? We have created P055. Let me go to tools, save it, done. Go back, and let me try to save this. So for the vendor, we have entered the cash discount received account in OBXU under transaction key SKE. And now for the customers, which is the cash discount given under transaction OBXI and the transaction key SKI, we need to enter the cash discount given GL account. So let me try to save again. So now this has been posted successfully. So if we try to open the document, if you see, the bank account has been debited with 9,000, and the customer has been created with 10,000, and whereas this cash discount given is an expense, so expense has been debited with 1,000, which is the cash discount that has been populated. So we have seen various scenarios and various variants of the payment terms. We have first saw a simple example wherein we are having just one payment term with one cash discount. Later on, we have uh, observed how the system behaves if there are multiple payment terms with multiple discounts. We saw how we can define a fixed date for the baseline date as well as a fixed date for the term dates. And we also saw what the block key, the payment method does, and how we can define the baseline date by using these options. And we also saw how we need to use the tail limit and what are the various scenarios or various conditions that are to be kept in mind while we are using the day limit while we are defining the payment terms. Similarly, we also saw how the global settings, the global company code settings monitor or impact the baseline date or the base date which is used for tax calculation as well as the cash discount calculations. So if the cash discount is set to net amount, then all the taxes, the freight and other charges are not considered as the base amount. But whereas if we are taking as gross amount for the calculation of cash discount, then the entire invoice amount is taken as the base amount. So this is what the overall rough concept of the payment terms. In my next video, we shall see how we need to define payment terms by using installments. So what additional configurations needs to be done and how we can make the payments by using installment methods and how we can define various discounts and how the payments are made by considering the payment terms. Thank you for watching.